Welcome into the That's Boxing podcast. How you doing this Memorial Day, Coach?
Good morning, Dust. I'm great, man. It's a beautiful morning. Easy commute. I wish it was like that every day. Mm-hmm. Heading into the studio, roads are empty like the damn, pandemic days.
Yeah.
I go for this every day.
That's kind of nice. It's
Every day.
It's a beautiful day here in Portland, Oregon, and we're working. We're working. I'll tell you who's not working. Inside Boxing Live.
The competition.
It's embarrassing, candidly.
Yeah.
You know, just no work ethic. No, not for us. We're putting in the work here every Monday. You can count on us. That's
Rain
what we
or
do.
shine, man.
It's just our natural disposition. That's how we are. Well, we got a nice little card, a couple cards last weekend to break down, and we've got a very exciting Cinco v Cinco card coming up this weekend that I really want to talk about. But let's go through Saturday's fights. Were you were on the couch all day, all night?
It wasn't quite as bad as the weekend before, but I definitely lost most of my Saturday to British boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good night, good day, fun day. I managed to get a little bit of chores done, but for the most part, on the couch watching the boxing.
Yeah. It's tough not to. You kind of put the fight on. Maybe there's a fight you missed, like doing some laundry, being productive a little bit, and then before you know it, you're just kind of. Well, once the first beer gets open, then it's done.
It's all over.
That's the end of the day for me. Yeah. At any time, whatever time that happens. Well, the main fight, Catterall, Josh Taylor.
Hey, it went down like we expected.
Like we called it. I'm kicking myself, man, because right 5 minutes before the fight started, I was like, really, Taylor's up like plus 130? No, come on, this is more of a pick 'em. And I put some money on him, and nope. We called it exactly right. That's the last time I don't trust us.
You got to learn to trust your own podcast, man.
I think we're 100% on picks. We haven't missed a single pick yet.
We've been on a roll, man. Because we know boxing. Because I live in the gym. I coach fights. I watch boxing. I teach boxing. I coach sparring. We can. We're gonna get it wrong someday, but I think we're doing all right.
We're doing all right. I agree with you. I think boxing is one of the only sports, maybe the only sport where I feel like I can bet with some moniker of like knowledge. Meaning like football's any given Sunday, right? I love the NFL, but any team can take any team. They can beat the spread, they can beat the point, whatever. It's similar in other sports, but in boxing, like there's an edge. There's a strategic understanding of the sweet science where you can actually look at it and see, no, this guy's gonna beat this guy, and this is why, and people are wrong because they're not seeing it.
Yeah, but also understanding the harder parts of the sport, like that you only understand after you've been watching for a while, is how the judges operate sometimes a little unpredictably. That's why we called Usyk a split, because I said, well, somebody's gonna, it's not going to be that decisive.
Right, the energy in the room. At least one of the three is gonna.
Yes.
Even potentially you can predict getting it wrong in a weird way.
Yeah, the judges have their own kind of predictable unpredictability.
Yeah.
After you've been watching the boxing for a while, but you know who doesn't like judges?
Bob Arum.
Bob.
Well, let's get into this fight. So Catterall gets the decision against Josh Taylor. It was a fight of big swings. If you look at our text thread, you got you rubbing my face in it. Why'd you put money on Taylor? And then, oh shit, you're looking smart. And then, he pulls it out at the end. What did you think of the fight? And do you think that they got it right?
Man, it was close. The cards were wider than I saw it, but I think they had it right. I was a little unimpressed with both men, honestly. They started nicely and they stopped. They didn't repeat the first fight. They made improvements, both of them. I think the headbutts might have really worked in the favor of the shorter fighter.
Yeah.
Because he come out on the better end of both of those big headbutts. There was at least two big ones and maybe a third or fourth that didn't really get noticed so much. But those really set Josh back a little bit, I think. I think he was a little hurt from those. And he just couldn't crack him, man. And, man, he sure couldn't block a punch either.
That was the big thing I noticed. It was much better fight than the first one. Looks like they really watched our Instagram video, which
absolutely.
Respect to the fighters for taking our advice.
They're checking in.
Yeah. But yeah, Taylor just could not get his head off the line. And he has this kind of almost hilarious move he does right before he initiates any exchange, where he changes levels, drops down, and then moves his head from side to side in an evasive way, but there's no punches coming. He's just doing it to kind of show that he can do it, but then when the punches are actually coming his way, he never employs that. He just stands right up the middle and gets popped.
Yeah, it looks like he was stuck in some kind of loop he learned from training, where you throw the mitt combination and you do a little head movement.
That's exactly what it looked like. Yeah, and it's like, dude, you do that when you're simulating defense.
Yeah, so I noticed in the warm-up, they showed the locker room, and he was working Taylor was working a really nice attack that finished with a left hook to the body, predicting Catterall's turn away shoulder roll. And he was using it in the early rounds, and it was landing nicely. But when Catterall was leaning towards him, that's when the headbutts were happening. So, because when you try to throw that big rear hand hook to the body, your head's going to kind of come with it.
Dipping forward, slamming your head into there.
So as soon as the headbutts started, that body attack stopped. And, I don't think they were intentional, but it definitely changed the flow of the fight. And Catterall took the first third of the fight easily. And it was looking like he might actually get a stoppage in there for a minute.
Yep.
But then, what about midway through, something happened. And Catterall, he stopped jabbing. Josh is coming forward and looking stronger and stronger with every round, landing some nice punches. But then Catterall would have these explosive moments where his punches look twice as good, twice as fast, landing way cleaner. And so that's what kept him in the fight. But he lost some of those middle rounds.
I think he lost at least 3-4 rounds in a row there in the middle of the fight. But then he turned it on later in the fight, really hurt Taylor. It looked like Taylor got kind of saved by a quote unquote slip at one point in the corner.
Slip, tackle, takedown.
He looked, but look, just trying to look at his knees and his eyes, it was like, this is not, he's not there. It looked like Catterall could have potentially stopped the fight. But yeah, fight of momentum, I agree. I think that Catterall got it. I was glad to see a back foot fighter get the decision because I feel like too often judges just reward aggression, even if it's not effective. But I did think it was way too wide. Really crazy when they read out the scorecards. Like, what? And and then, of course, you get Bob Arum, the promoter, grabbing the mic mid-speech of Catterall and saying, this is bullshit and I'll never bring a fighter over here for you British judges. And which I respect the tenacity, but also, Bob, maybe watch the fight first before you comment.
Yeah. I think Bob's hilarious. He's like 90-something years old. You see everybody in the background looking like just kind of raising their eyebrows like, there goes Bob. Like, he's done so much for this sport. And it's amazing that he still gets out there and watches these fights and travels the world like he does. But he wasn't wrong. The scores were terrible, but they were right. They were just a little too right.
Yeah. If he had said that's way too wide, I have a problem with the, whatever. Okay. But I think this is my theory about judging. You tell me what you think. People don't. Okay, when I say I score a fight, I literally have a piece of paper, an Excel spreadsheet, rounds 1 through 12, 1 through 10, and I punch in who won at the end of every round. So really you're scoring, if it's a 12-round fight, you're scoring 12 fights. There's no momentum that carries over, no points that carry over, right? It's 12 individual events that you're adding up to get your total score. And I think when people don't do that, when they say, well, I scored the fight this, my first question is always, did you literally physically score it like that? Or did you just kind of watch it and in your head keep a running tally of this is the guy or girl I think is winning the fight? Because that allows you, again, to carry through the momentum through where you're like, I feel like this person's really, really dominated. It's like, well, which rounds did they dominate? Be specific. And when you put it on paper, it really changes the complexion of it. And you'll see fights where it feels like one guy won. Actually, the other person put together more points. Yeah,
one round at a time. That's how this sport is judged. I have a problem with judges sometimes, and it's frustrating as a former competitor and a coach now because the fighter gives their whole life to the sport. From the moment they wake up to the moment they go to bed, for years on end, they sacrifice so much, and they live for this moment. And their whole thing is this inevitable collide with this other person who's on the same path as them, just in a different place, and they come together for this one moment, and they put everything on the line. And then the person the three people that decide their fate are just some random people that haven't been treating this moment or guided to this moment with the same intensity. For them, it's a job, and they're going to do it multiple times that night, and they did it last weekend, and they're going to do it next weekend too. And I don't think it's fair in some kind of fucked up way to have your fate in the hands of somebody that hasn't been as invested in this as you are.
Right, like it's the biggest moment of your life and they're falling asleep.
Yeah, and they're making mistakes. In amateur boxing, I think sometimes these people literally they get confused and they write down the wrong color, corner because the amateur is a whole different thing, obviously, but they overwork these judges at the local level, and I think they go punch blind. They don't even know what they're looking at. And I think sometimes too, especially if the color coordination isn't just quite right, sometimes you see a guy with red gloves and blue headgear and stuff like that. These judges aren't savvy enough to keep track of what's happening. And I think they go on emotion about who, tried harder or who did better than they did last time or something, as opposed to one round at a time, who landed the more effective punches and who had the better defense, who had the better ring generalship and all the scoring criteria. So, and, a lot of the amateur people, they volunteer their time, which further, makes it clear that it's not that serious to them. How much I want to know, and what we need to do is get on air. We need to get us a judge on this podcast to explain to us, a professional boxing judge, what it's like on their side.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they're not putting the work in that the fighters are, so it's not fair.
Yeah. Yeah, there's clearly a problem with judging, and I think it holds the sport back, right? Too many weird decisions, bad decisions that people disagree with, and it makes the sport feel arbitrary. And if I was a sanctioning body, I would spend a lot of time focusing on this issue. I would figure out a way to have my fights, the fights that I sanction, not feel that way to viewers, because that just makes your product more valuable and would elevate you above the other sanctioning bodies. And I don't know what it is, right? Maybe it's judges need to share a similar aerial view of the ring, more like a television camera view, like how we watch it when we're not there. Because maybe that's the disparate views being ringside. Maybe it's not having adequate instruction to all the judges about what they should be looking for. I mean, whatever it is, right? Use technology, use education to improve it.
Yeah, on the national level of amateur boxing, they have 5 judges, and they rotate them out like every 3 or 4 fights to keep fresh eyes in there. They have a huge pool of
fresh eyes. There's a great idea. Yeah.
So don't overwork them. And here's a thought: let's go 3 humans and 2 AIs. And then see how those add up. Yeah,
I mean, AI would be a really interesting addition to kind of see what it's able to do. See what it's. I mean, obviously, you remove the kind of human bias aspect, but you don't want to end up with a CompuBox situation where you've got just absolutely random numbers thrown together that don't correlate with anything.
Yeah, there's too much controversy in that right now. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Because human error is part of our existence, but it's just so painful when it's deciding the fate of a boxer whose career depends on the result of that fight.
100%. Well, one way to not have to deal with the judges is to actually take your opponent and physically throw them into the judges, which is what Makhmudov did. Knocks Rav Cannon literally out of the ring 2 times. One time you see the ring announcer or the sideline reporter have to jump up as they're reporting, oh shit, he's coming at me.
Incoming heavyweight.
Yeah. That was brutal.
Yeah.
So I want to know, okay, Makhmudov, this dude is lumbering. He's slow as hell. He's kind of methodical, plodding forward and just throwing. Is he a legitimate heavyweight contender? Where do you put him?
And heavyweights are difficult because everybody's got a punch. Everybody's legitimate at the right day, on the right time, in the right round. So if he gets, some of these world-class guys to hold still, and hit him, he's going to do some damage. Slow punchers, it doesn't mean they don't hit hard. It just means you can see it coming.
Yeah.
But you better be able to block that thing or get your ass out of the way because it's going to knock you clean out of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to have to do a little bit more work against a tougher opponent to prove to us that he's, world ready.
Yeah. He's just someone I kind of highlight now every time he fights. Like, oh, all right, I want to see how he does. And I agree. I think, you picture him against like a Tyson Fury, and it's like Tyson's going to dance around him, and he's just got too much evasiveness. But that's a rare quality up there in that weight class.
Yeah, heavyweight is on fire right now. We got these really uniquely talented individuals like Usyk and Fury and, Wilder when he was on his run and who's come back and show us who he is now.
Parker would be a really interesting opponent to see him with, right? Much smaller guy. Feels like it would be very bad to get hit with one of those bulldozer punches, but he's shorter and a lot more evasive, and I feel like you could picture him putting together a 12-round decision on him pretty easily, but it would be an edge of your seat type of fight.
Yeah, we'll see how they move him. There's a lot going on in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, well, switching over to ESPN, you had the Billy Heffron card. Did you blink and miss that fight? It's about 30 seconds into the first round, and Billy stops him with a body punch. Dude was not getting up.
I 100% missed that live.
Did you really?
I did, yeah. Yeah, you
It was
texted
fast.
me, and because we were saying we had this kind of pre-fight prediction on him. We did just between the two of us about how the energy this guy carries into this ring. You know, he's an intimidating individual. He's very muscular and looks very dangerous in the ring. I said he's like young Tyson vibes.
Yep.
You know, the way he's been hurting people. And his last opponent was tough enough to hang in there for a good long time. And it gave him and Billy a chance to show us what he can do with his feet. He was shifting, sliding, ripping those uppercuts from hell. This fight, the opponent, he was out of there before the damn thing started.
Yep.
So I missed it live. You know, I got to admit, I was watching something different.
Yeah.
You're not going to believe me when I tell you.
Were you watching UFC?
I was watching Misfits Boxing Paige Van Zandt versus...
No, that's even worse.
So I have
No.
two... Okay, I'm watching on the computer. I got two tabs open, so I'm switching back and forth. And I just popped that up out of curiosity's sake. Just purely scientific curiosity.
Uh-huh.
I actually met Paige
Sure.
once when she trained here in Oregon years ago when she lived here. And she was just at the gym with another coach when I was there. Nice person, whatever. And so I've always kind of had a little bit of interest in her career because I met her in real life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she got knocked down in the round. It was drama. And then you text me. I'm like, I'm watching the wrong fight.
Who was she fighting? Paris Hilton?
Yeah.
Or Britney Spears? I can't remember.
Oh, man. Brooke something.
Brooke Shields? Okay.
It was Brooke Shields. Yeah,
Yeah.
bro. I mean, it wasn't a bad match, really. She got knocked down but won a draw. But earned a draw.
I think Misfits Boxing will ultimately host our podcast boxing championship challenge.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
We're calling them out now directly.
Yeah.
We started this podcast with a direct call out against the competition.
Well, I think it's the Porter way. I think you got to fight Sean Porter. You know, that's...
I got to call him some backup. I'll call him my friend Bud.
Yeah.
Bud, I need your help.
Well, and Billy obviously gets the stoppage, sets up a fight with Derevyanchenko, which I think is an amazing fight. Crazy styles, super explosive, technical, good, solid fighters.
Two low, crouching, power punching.
Yeah.
Oof. Dude, the body punches from Billy look just violent. I did go watch the fight. I was just like 2 minutes late.
He's the one, I don't know, he's one of the few boxers that like scares me in a weird way. Like I just watch him fight and I'm like, oh, that looks bad. That's awful. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's the kind of boxer that you're like, oh, yeah. I don't know.
And then seems like such a nice French boy.
Yeah.
Right?
Did you see the undercard, the southpaw that they were trying to sell us as the southpaw in Billy?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did see it, and there's a couple fights on the undercard of the DAZN British boxing. Was this like muscle boxing? Like these guys are they're too buff.
Yeah,
they're looking like the Francis Ngannou body, where it's just like too many muscles, dude.
Yeah, I don't know if it helps you.
I don't think it does. I don't think it does.
Quick twitch is what you need. The slow fibers is just not really relevant in boxing. Well, they did ringside, because they were in Canada, interview Steve Claggett about his fight coming up with T.O., which was interesting. And they were telling him, or talking about how he's a come forward pressure fighter. T.O., obviously with De Los Santos, really struggled against back foot fighter, evasive fighter, and so they probably chose him for that reason. And they were saying, do you feel like a lamb being led to slaughter, basically, because of it? And he said, well, obviously I have tools, and he's going to underestimate me, blah, blah, blah. But I thought that was interesting in relation to the fight I watched right before that, which was Catterall Taylor, because Eddie Hearn comes in the ring and says Catterall's moving on from a trilogy with Taylor, no reason to run it back again. Let's get him a title fight against Teofimo. And Catterall is a back foot fighter. And so I wonder if that's an excellent opponent from a promoter perspective for Catterall to face T.O.
Yeah, T.O. could struggle with him, but I don't know. We saw some conditioning issues or something there with...
I think T.O. is levels above him, but is the style, right, a good to give him trouble?
Yeah, Catterall was fatigued there in those middle rounds. He had to dig deep there and show show everything he had. We didn't see that with De Los Santos. He could have done that all night long. Or was it? No, who was it? The kid, the kid. You went and saw him live.
Oh, yeah. I always say De Los Santos because I, for some reason, go to that Shakur fight with De Los Santos. Who did he fight?
No, he fought that kid, Jermaine
Ortiz.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
That's the back foot fighter who
a
lot of people thought won that fight.
Yeah.
That's what you were saying earlier about the judges don't reward evasive fighters. Every now and then you see it. Like Erickson Lubin won a fight a couple of years ago, and it was controversial. But I thought he won. But most people thought he lost because he was going backwards all the time.
I think I think the critical thing because I was ringside for that fight, and I thought that T.O. won, but I thought it was a close fight, right? But people were pissed. I mean, there was a lot of boos when they read out the scorecard, right? And he was being very evasive, and he did make T.O. like stumble and look stupid a couple times, but he wasn't effective. He wasn't putting anything on him. He didn't look like he would ever, win the fight if it was a real fight, right? Where you got to actually damage the other opponent. And I think that's the key where you look at Catterall, and he was on the back foot. He was evasive. He was letting the fight come to him, but he was damaging the opponent in exchanges.
Yeah, his punches were nice. Yeah, and we didn't see that from Ortiz. It's interesting though, because it goes to show what judges and fans, we always judge you on what you've done before, right? So T.O. didn't do as good as he's done before, so people are disappointed in him and feel like he should lose because what he was expected to be able to do, which was some flashy shit, because that's how he got famous. That's how he got up there on that big world stage, with some flashy shit.
Right.
Crazy, he was doing behind the back punches and looking in the crowd and no look punches and crazy leaping uppercut knockouts and, highlight reel kid. So when he goes out there and puts on a stinker, everybody's like, well, he should definitely lose because of his potential is now wasted, and letting the emotions from his previous career. It's like if you're a musician, people expect you to do the same quality of concert every night of the tour.
Right.
But, athletes aren't musicians. You're only able to perform as well as your dance partner in the ring that night allows you to.
I think that's the critical thing is, against lower opposition, a really skilled fighter like that who's still building his career is going to be able to show off that way because he's so much better than his opponent. But now I don't want to see him show off that way unless he's really just beating every pound for pound everybody he's in the ring with, which is not going to be the case.
It's like only watching the Globetrotters play basketball because you want to see your guy win every time. Like,
right.
I don't like low level boxing where it's the guys beating up nobodies. I mean, I understand
don't like
part
low
of
level
the business.
This is the guy watching Misfits boxing.
Hey, I was curious. I'm supporting women's boxing. All right, so you just watch yourself.
You get a pass. So here's my question to you.
I watched it with my wife, just to be clear. This wasn't like some science experiment.
Don't pawn this off on her. No excuses. Okay, M. Billy, 168. Is he gets the Canelo fight? Who do you like?
But come on. I mean, the guy's got some talent, but he's not a world beater yet.
You don't think he's giving him a run for his money at all?
No, I don't think that's going to happen. And Canelo, he famously said he was never going to fight a Canadian. Wait, no, sorry. That was
I think you got that twisted. Yeah.
Wrong country.
I like that, though. Whatever country David Benavidez is from. That's,
what if Benavidez changes his citizenship?
Yeah, he's like, oh, what? Scandinavia?
Man.
Nope.
Oh, man, that's fucking hilarious.
Well, if you were, we got Turkey Al Sheikh, right? Talking turkey here for a second.
Turkey time. Okay.
Turkey time. All right. Getting down to brass turkey. You're in charge of boxing. You can pick any two fighters
Unlimited
to fight. Unlimited, anybody. You got all the money, all the plays. I want to know, give me two fights you're setting up on this card and what city you're going to do it in.
Unlimited cash, unlimited resources. Two fights on one card.
One card.
City.
And what city?
Wow.
Take your time. This is a big question, though.
Oh, there's this boxing coach in Portland who could he can scrap a little bit. I'd have him fight at the Moda Center and pay him.
So you're just trying to get yourself paid, basically.
Yeah. Man, that's a crazy one. Imagine just being able to do whatever you want. Okay, let's say I'm gonna do. I'd like to see. Well, geez, I think the fight I would love to see Crawford versus Boots.
Versus Boots, okay.
Yeah. I'd love to see that fight. And I'd just like to see that right here in my own backyard, Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon.
Bring it on home, Turkey.
Okay.
Okay, I got one. You give me one.
Hey, that's only one. Okay. Well, you took mine, man. I had that written down.
The two of the most exciting boxers in the game right now. Yeah, maybe. Okay, I got another one.
Okay, what's your other one?
Totally different style. Mm-hmm. Not this slick, like American style. Just more of like a head down. Let's fucking go. Mm-hmm. Let's make this happen. Oh, man. Better Benavidez.
Ooh. Okay.
And then we got to do that in like Brisbane or something that starts with a B, so it's impossible to talk about. Better Biev and
Beterbiev.
Yeah.
That's a great fight. Yeah, I mean, I would say, and this is a good transition into the 5x5 card that's coming up this weekend we got to talk about, but honestly, Bivol Beterbiev was probably my number one fight that I wanted to see.
I was expecting that to be a fight of the year.
Yeah, which is crazy when they make a fight that you're like, holy shit, if I could make any fight, this is the fight I would want to make. I'm obsessed with Canelo Crawford. And I hate that I am because it's just the stupidest fight. But the fact that I feel like Bud believes he's not going to Charlo it. Like, he doesn't want a payday. I think Bud really thinks that he could win. And my belief in his belief in himself makes me like, well, shit, I want to see it then. Can he really do it? Because it seems impossible.
Yeah, well, Canelo came out and said something along the lines of no amount of money could ever make this happen. Yeah. And it's not going to happen, so move on.
I would never do it if I was Canelo because you could only lose.
Yeah, what do you win there?
Yeah. I mean, unless you just really beat the shit out of the guy.
But that's human nature, to want what you can't have.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, other fights being made. Sebastian Fundora, Errol Spence reportedly going to fight.
Saw that one coming.
Yeah, they're going to is for his WBC belt. I guess he's going to be stripped of the WBO for not fighting his mandatory, which somehow is Crawford, which I think is hilarious. Because isn't Crawford?
Are we going to get the Spence Crawford rematch at 154 for titles? Is that what we're setting up for us here? Is that what they're trying to get going on here?
They're trying to get belts in all these guys' hands.
Man, Spence has got to do something spectacular to get himself back in contention here, because nobody remembers everything he did before what happened. You know, yeah. I saw a clip of that on Instagram, the beatdown from Bud, and I was like, oh, God, I forgot how violent and brutal it was.
Oh, yeah. You haven't run that fight back?
I can't, man. I mean, I usually don't watch modern fights back. I usually watch old fights if I want to sit down and watch something that's not live. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go back to the 90s, back to the old Budweiser ring days, you know, with the old school HBO boxing. Yeah. That's some of my favorite boxing. But, yeah, I mean, I don't want to watch that again. This is a man getting beat to a pulp, literally. So he's got to do something. Get himself some highlight reels out there on the Instagram that aren't him just getting beat down. Yeah.
Well, Fundora's a start. I don't know what Spence has got left, and, you know, maybe Derek James will take it all out of him. Maybe he'll drain his bank account to the point that he's got to take some more fights.
Yeah, maybe that's why he needs to fight.
Well, let's look forward to this card. Again, big event in Saudi Arabia. You know, the concept was Queensberry Promotions versus Matchroom Promotions. They each get to pick 5 boxers, and they face off and see who can win the most bouts. A couple stand out. Ray Ford, Nick Ball. I think that's going to be a great fight.
Yeah. Ray Ford, he really put himself on the map with that last performance, and that last 10 seconds left or something in the fight.
Stopped the guy. Yep.
In a tough fight where it was back and forth, and he had to dig deep.
Yep.
You know, that was really entertaining. His coaches did a great job in the corner getting him through that fight. Now he's a world champion. Now he's fighting on this huge stage. Nick Ball just had a draw against Ray Vargas in a controversial, draw. Most people thought he should have won that one, but it was kind of an ugly fight. A lot of headbutting and wrestling and stuff. I think Ray takes this one though. I mean, he's got the momentum, he's got the skill. Ball's like a classic, English tough guy.
Yeah,
I don't think he's got the boxing skill to keep up here with the kid.
Yeah, a little stiff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I give it to Ford for sure. One of the most intriguing fights, I think, because I can say 2 names, but we only know one of the fighters that's actually showing up, is Deontay Wilder versus Zhilei Zhang. Which Wilder do we get? This could be a barn burner or it could be a snoozer.
Yeah, if he's ayahuasca Wilder,
yeah,
just smiling and
pulling back,
chilling, just lean back.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to go well for him. He'll probably lose it on decision if he shows up like he did last time,
or get stopped.
I saw his latest post was something like a picture of him out there, and he's like, "I'm not from this planet. I'm an alien," some kind of weird cryptic thing. And I'm just like, "Oh no."
Yeah,
you gotta get your head right, champ.
Yep. These are 2 of my favorite fighters. I love Zhang. I thought he was on the come up. I was really sad that he lost his last fight because I really wanted him in title contention because I thought he was kind of like the dark horse candidate that would just like all of a sudden beat Usyk or beat Fury, or because he's just, I don't know, he's got some intangible thing to him. But I always felt the same about Wilder. When Wilder set up to fight Fury, I was like, oh man, this is just my guy right here, Tuscaloosa. But both have kind of fallen off a bit, but Wilder, I think, quite a bit further. And so it's just a question of maybe who shows up. Because I think the best Wilder should beat the best Zhang.
Yeah, but Wilder wasn't really known for stacking up rounds. And we all just kind of waited around for the bomb to drop.
Right.
So he never got that. Never even had it. Maybe one or two grazing rear hand punches that got near Parker, and they're but never once did he rock him.
No,
and it never even looked like he wanted to. It was, uppercutted a few times like he meant to, but he never really stepped forward and laid that right hand down the pipe like he's known for. So if he doesn't use his violence to win the fight in that one moment, then he's going to lose the fight overall. It's just his style. He's not a round winner. He's a fight winner.
Yeah,
a knockout artist. And if the knockout doesn't come, then he goes home a loser again.
Yeah. It's an interesting fight. I'm just curious to see what happens. Don't put any money on that fight because, again, we don't even know who's fighting. Next up, Daniel Dubois versus Filip Hrgovic.
Hey, okay.
Great heavyweight fight.
Yeah, this should be great. Hrgovic's a little too rough and rugged, I think, for the younger fighter.
Yeah,
I think he's going to give him a good walloping and be able to take everything Dubois brings to him.
I agree with you. I like Hrgovic by stoppage. I just think maybe I just can't get the image of Dubois getting dropped from an Usyk jab and like refusing to get up out of my head. But it feels like Hrgovic's got too much pressure, too much skill. And
Dubois came back and he won against Big Baby Miller.
True.
And he looked pretty good in that fight.
Yeah.
And Miller, he wasn't doing a whole lot. That guy can take a punch, so holy smokes.
Yeah.
He took a lot of shots that night. But Dubois is going to have to do a little bit more to win here against Hrgovic. So I think I'll lean with you on this one. I don't know about the stoppage, but I'm definitely going for Hrgovic.
Going Hrgovic. And then the main event, unfortunately, Beterbiev's out. And we've got a replacement, Malik Zanad, a Libyan boxer.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sounds cool to me.
Versus Dimitri Bivol. I think Bivol's probably like minus 80 million.
Yeah. They have the same exact record, 22-0.
Yeah, well, that just shows you it's not
One
all
guy's fought is some of the best boxers, obviously, and he's a world champion. The other guy's, hasn't fought any notable names yet. But this is the sport of boxing. It's the theater of the unexpected. We don't know what's going to happen. I don't think it'd be real smart to put a ton of money on this unknown guy, but if you would slide $1 on him for fun, you might win a couple bucks.
Yeah.
I mean, has Bivol been beat? No. Has he been knocked out, knocked down? Nothing.
No.
Can he put on a little bit of a snoozer like he did in his last fight? Yeah. But he's gonna win one way or the other.
That's what it feels like to me. I agree with you. Bivol's not the fan favorite. But that's partly what makes him so dangerous is that he can just turn it on and say, okay, yeah. He understands one round at a time, like you said.
Yeah, real professional, And these guys with those deep amateur pedigrees, they know how it works. They know how to box emotionless.
Yeah.
One round at a time.
It's kind of the fight within the fight. As a knowing boxing spectator, you're watching this going, okay, yeah, he's putting together one round at a time. He's stacking the card. He understands what he's doing. If he realizes he doesn't have the gear or the opponent's too tough or whatever it is, it's like an alternate strategy that people always just assume, well, he's trying to like hit him and knock him out, right? And it's like, well, not necessarily.
Yeah, I expect him to win, and hopefully this guy shows up and gives us a good competitive match. That that style that people uses. It'd be nice to see him employed against a pressure fighter. His last opponent, don't remember his name, he was on the back foot the whole time. So Bivol just kind of stalked and pecked away at him with some combinations. But for 20, 30 seconds would go by without any action.
Right.
So if we have a guy who's going to be like a budget Beterbiev,
yeah,
then that'd be cool. Bring it, man.
Yeah.
Lean into it.
I don't think Malik has that pressure style, but I don't think he'll be evasive either the whole time. I think he knows he's got to put it on him in order to have any chance at winning here. So I'll look for some aggression, whether it's effective or not. We'll see. I don't like any of the lines on any of these fights. I think they're all right. There's not a lot of value in any of them. So I'm looking at a bet here, and I'm looking at a parlay, which it's a 4-letter word, but I think you take Ray Ford, Hrgovic, and maybe Bivol at plus 135, 3-way parlay. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good bet. I think those are all clear for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
For sure.
It's 100% guaranteed.
I'm getting too cocky, man. We're on a roll.
Listen, reverse mortgage, take out any equity in your home.
No, do not.
Dump it all on the parlay.
We're gonna have to
trust us.
We're gonna have to start our podcast with a disclaimer. All the statements made on this podcast are brought to you by them.
Yeah, we don't have one of those.
The actual betting circumstances that you should involve yourself in.
I hope somebody sues us. All right, anything else coming up? What else do we need to talk about?
Well, do you like to jump rope?
Oh, I love jumping rope.
Yeah, I love jumping rope too. You should come down to the Jump Rope Jump Off 2024 down at the gym.
Jump rope, jump off.
Come see me at McConnell's on June 23rd. Got some exciting news. First 20 people to sign up get a box rope.
Oh, damn, I love the box rope.
Yeah, get your own box rope.
Yeah.
Included in the registration fee.
How much is the registration?
$30.
Isn't that like the cost of the rope?
That's less than the cost of the rope.
Wow.
And then you get a 2-hour jump off with me and all the best jumpers in town. We're going to have some fun. We'll teach this some. If you don't know how to jump rope, we'll teach you how to jump rope. If you think you know how to jump rope, you can throw it down in the competition section and maybe win yourself a prize. Like a gift certificate to Kim Jong Grillin.
Kim Jong Grillin.
The best barbecue in town.
Period. I love it. All right, well, if you're in Portland, come down, jump rope. I will defeat you in every single competition. I'll be there. And that's all.
That's it.
That's it.
That's everything.
This is a good episode.
All right. Well, that's Dust.
That's Coach. That's boxing.